A lot of times we in ticket sales specifically get tied to our best practices, and like when asked like what's our secret sauce, like we go back to things that probably every team's doing, maybe some execute it a little better, but at the end of the day we kind of have the same processes because we all share best practices, run league calls together, we go from one league to another league and we take that with us. So that's not necessarily a competitive moat anymore. That's not a unique proposition that's going to give us a distinct advantage. Like at the end of the day, if we're all running the same play, have the same tech, have the same tools, it comes down to your people. And like, do you get the right people that are forward thinking, that are innovative, that are going to take the tools and the best practices in the playbook and like really execute that at a high level? What culture are you creating so that people feel empowered, people are engaged, and they want to go out and do more. They feel safe that they can test and fail and not be punished for that, but learn from that. So it's really the people, it's the culture that you create, it's the systems and like the operating rhythm that you have, and making sure that you execute on the things you want. Because at the end of the day, if you ask 10 sales leaders like what their goals are, they probably all have similar type goals. It's the ones that can execute and do that on a consistent basis and bring that energy every single day that are going to probably win more than not. The challenging part too sometimes is like in ticket sales and in sports sales just in general, a lot of it's dependent on team performance, and we never like to use that as an excuse, but that is a real thing. So a lot's out of our control, but the best you could benchmark, like, am I operating at the highest level possible? It's really only a question you can answer yourself, and maybe you have some smart data people that can analyze that for you. But really, that's it. So making sure that you're executing everything like that. So when you're looking at it's what mid 2025 and looking at what are the right metrics and KPIs to go after so you can measure and make sure that you're doing things the right way and making progress, and that all goes into that revenue operations system, data system that you're building. It's not about phone calls. It's not about talk time necessarily. Like those are a lot of things that even today I still talk to people and they're like, "Yep, it's about 100 calls, 50 calls, 60 calls." Like, and I was joking with someone. I'm like, the calls don't really matter. It was actually a rep, yeah, because you could make 60 or 70 calls, whatever it is. But you could call the same person 8 times. You could call someone who's not going to buy 10 times. Like the number of calls doesn't matter. It's great to make sure that you set up at least like bumpers of like, hey, I say bumpers a lot when I think of like bowling and set up the bumpers for kids. Like I always told reps, like you need to know like what is good and what isn't, just from like an effort standpoint. But at an executive level, if you're a VP, SVP, CRO, president, you're not looking at phone calls. At least you shouldn't be. It's about the pipeline that you're creating. Like healthy, how healthy is that? Like how quickly are deals moving through the cycle? Are we getting the right type of people that we're looking to go after? How well are we getting people from, hey, they were not a fan, they bought tickets, and like are we moving them through the customer journey, and like looking at those type of things and the quality of our leads and how long are they staying with us? Like those are the metrics that you want to be looking at, and those are things you want to set up. So taking it down to a more granular level, from like working with your reps and working with your manager and your sales team, it's not necessarily like building out a certain script or like here's what they have to say or here's how we sell. The same person I was talking to this morning, like we were having a conversation around that. It's like it's not necessarily about here's what you have to say, because we all can kind of say the same thing, but like how relevant is your messaging? What's the why behind the questions that you're asking? And I told them, I was like, I'm laughing because I did the same thing. I'm like, when they say this, you say that, but like, why are you saying that? Is that actually what's going to move the conversation forward? So understanding the purpose of what it is that they're doing, knowing the why behind the decisions that we're making, being open, being transparent about some of those things, because at the end of the day, like you'll get people to work hard for you because they trust you maybe or they like you, but when they know the why, now they're empowered to do it and they feel like they're part of this and they're building this also, and they understand like this is, I may not necessarily agree, but this is why we're doing it, ties to a bigger objective. So not just giving them, enable them with a playbook and say, hey, here, say this and do this really, really hard. Like giving them the why and letting them think, objectively, creatively to kind of create the programs and processes that are going to help build successful teams. When it, also looking at the staff and looking at reps, you want to make sure, at least this is my opinion, um, I've I've been a fan of having people focus on certain areas, but one thing I think we're going to need to do in the future is make sure everyone's well versed in what we call full menu. And so maybe you do give people like a particular focus, or like, hey, you're more groups focused, you focus more on season tickets, but they need to be able to speak all languages. From a customer experience, you don't want to be passed off like, oh, I can't sell you a premium inventory, I can't sell you a group. Like, you want to be able to have that conversation with everyone. And I'll talk more about like what the teams look like and like the growth paths and like the structures and department layouts. But I need consultants that can, articulate all areas of business. So that means making sure that they're well versed in all of it. And technology could help you do that and level up your skills and knowledge very quickly versus being siloed. Like, this is what I do, this is what I focus on, and this is my area. In the future, especially if sales teams start to lean and scale down, I can't have someone who's just so specialized and focused at more of a junior level. I need that person to be able to take a single game ticket buyer and understand what do they do for business, what groups are they a part of, and not have to pass that off or bring people in every single time it's a different type of product. Like, be able to talk about season tickets and sell them season tickets. It's less about the product. It's like, what's the problem that you're looking to solve for them, or what's the need or want that they have, or what's their purpose for buying, and then we find a solution. I think too many times we lead with the product and the tickets and the pricing and the benefits, where we need to just get to know people and build relationships and then consult them through the process. Then we'll figure out what's going to be the best fit for them. I'll dive deeper into this too, but like from a compensation standpoint, I'm a big fan of paying them well. Again, I said resources aren't really an issue, so I know that's not always the case, and we can't compete with outside of sports. But if you can't compete on like a base salary standpoint, like, make the variable comp, the bonuses, the comp, the commission structure, really lucrative, but tied to the business objectives, and make it flexible too. You don't have to get locked into a certain comp plan. There may be, like, here's kind of the framework, but I would say up front and let them know up front, like, this is going to change quarterly, semi-annually, every year, so they don't get too locked in. Well, this was my comp plan last year. Well, if we really had to focus on group sales, because that was our opportunity, so we skewed the comp plan more that way. But now we need to focus on retaining more season ticket holders. We need to shift that way. You don't want to penalize people necessarily, because that's not their area of focus, but they need to know going into this, like, this is going to change. And like, we're, for the most part, like, your base should stay the same, but like the variable comp and like what we, bonus you on or spiffs we create are going to be towards more business objectives that we're focused on for the future. I've seen us run into issues with that, where we get locked into a comp plan and now you try and change it and people are up in arms. But if you have that conversation, explain the why up front, they may not always agree, but at least they know that, all right, this is something that's flexible, it's going to change year over year and everything like that. And then again, I said, just investing in having strong data, revenue, operations type people. A lot of times you have like a CRM manager that's really junior and that continues to turn over, so you never have consistency there. You have a very small data and analytics team. I would be willing to take some salespeople and then take those dollars and invest them, put them in marketing, put them in operations, and put them in support roles that help drive more revenue. Because a lot of the sales that are going to happen are going to come from inbound and renewals. So if you just give more of your best leads to your best people, you should close those quickly and for a higher dollar amount. But you need smart business people and revenue people that can help make those decisions for you, so you know what it is that you need to focus on and everything like that. So it's not just about investing in more technology, but deploying that when it makes the most sense, and making sure that you have a strong foundation laid first. Because if you just get technology on a poor foundation, you're just going to do bad things quicker and continue to make more mistakes faster. So, and in closing, really, this is just more to set the tone on, like, all right, here are some high level thoughts, concepts. I'll dive deeper into some of those, and some of the topics I'll talk through is, what does hiring look like, in a modern era? What does it look like selling B2B versus B2C? What are your marketing efforts to help you drive and find the right type of people? I touched on it a little bit, but diving deeper into that, what does the tech stack look like? How do you create a culture of innovation? So each episode, I'll talk about something different that relates to building out this modern ticket sales team for 2025 and beyond. And then on the last one, I'll kind of tie it all together and wrap it up like I have done for other series. So I'm excited to dive into this. This is something I talk a lot about. A lot of the consulting I do around this is about how do we modernize processes and systems, whether it's things I see, being in there in the work with the team, or things I wish I would have done different. And if I were to run a ticket sales team today, here are the things that I've learned over the past year plus since I've gotten into consulting that I think could improve and, have more success in. So again, excited to go into this and dive deeper into it. But if you have feedback, definitely let me know. But look forward to another episode coming up here soon in the series. Thanks.